So welcome everyone to a very interesting and the final algorithm introduction today. NeuroTimeline is what we're going to talk about today. NeuroTimeline is the final algorithm in the series of advanced algorithms that was created by Pavel Piskaryov, the founder of Neurographica. So we are working with a method that's called Neurographica today. I always open these meetings up for students of all knowledge bases. So this is absolutely available for beginners as well. Maybe just a few words about me before we start. My name is Antje Howard. I am a Neurographica instructor, Neurographica teacher since 2020. I did my training in 2020. I am originally from Germany, but I live in Northern California with my husband. And I have been teaching almost all of the advanced algorithms of Neurographica one by one. If you're interested in learning about all the other ones, you can look at my YouTube channel. There's introductions to each one. And before we start a course, I always like to invite people into a process that uses some of the principles of this algorithm, just so that we get to know what all of this is about. NeuroTimeline is a very interesting one because we work with time. I read once that Pavel calls it the king's discipline, so it's like the highest discipline in a way, where we really work with creating time in our own way. And this is a concept that I really like because it works with the idea that time is actually not linear. Now, we all kind of were taught that time is this linear thing, and we have all these calendars, and we have the clock, and everything is ticking in the same rhythm. But when we look at physics, for example, they say that time is highly individual. So our perception of time, how we experience time, is not linear at all. And this is what we work with Neurographica, which I love. So I'm going to share that this is literally one of my favorite algorithms. And it opens up a very different understanding and a very different view of how we can work with time. So probably all of us have planned things in the past, and then they turned out differently than we planned. And with Neurographica, we kind of take that into account. And we basically play with it. Now, the process that I want to share with you today is a process that I created, kind of with the idea in mind of how we can use this algorithm in a way that helps us look into the future, literally. I don't know if you have ever heard about timeline work. That is something that I have heard of and experienced in like a spiritual spiritual context, I'm gonna say. There are a lot of people working with that, which is really interesting, and it's about envisioning your future in certain ways and looking at which direction you can take and where it's going to take you. Now, of course, we can't know our future, but we can, with the help of Neurographica, ask our intuition what it might feel like to go in this direction. So this is something that we're going to do today. And as I said, this is in a way, my application of the principles of this algorithm. Well, for anyone who has been drawing with me before, you all know that I like to just tune in before we draw, kind of calm ourselves down, connect with ourselves, because this is one of the elemental parts of Neurographica is what I like to call self-observation. So we're going to go into just tapping into ourselves for a moment. I invite you to just sit comfortably. If it's available to you, place your feet on the ground. You are free to move your body whenever you need to. So it's not about sitting straight and not moving, but just kind of sitting comfortable. And if it feels good, you can close your eyes. And we're just going to start with a few deep breaths. And you are welcome to exhale out of your mouth if that feels good, releasing any inner tension that might be present, even using your voice. I like to sigh or sound. So if that feels good to you, you're invited to do that as well. And so first, I invite you to just become aware of your breath as it enters and leaves your body. And with every breath, maybe slowing down a little bit more, lengthening a little bit more, deepening your breath. Allowing it to flow all the way deep down into your belly. And connecting with your body. Feeling where your body meets the chair under you. Feeling the weight of your body as it sinks down. Feeling the feet on the ground. Allowing yourself to ground and to just be for a moment. Experience yourself inside of you, here and now. Your breath slowly flowing in and out. And now if it feels good, you can just check into your body sensations. You can scan your body from the top down, just feeling your head, releasing all the muscles of the face, the forehead. Allow the jaw to drop a little bit. Allow to relax. Let go of any tension. Feeling your throat, your neck, your shoulders sink down. And again, releasing any tension. Letting go of any muscles that you don't need to hold on to right now. Feeling your arms, your hands and your fingers. Feeling your chest and your back, your belly, relaxing, softening, your lower back and hips and whole pelvis area, and all the way down into your legs, allowing all the muscles to release, to let go, sinking your feet down into the floor, just being in your body, being with any sensation that is there. As an observer, just paying attention without trying to change anything, unless it feels like you want to shift, you want to move just a little bit to feel more comfortable, to feel more relaxed. You can always do that. And breathing another deep breath. Then I invite you to check in with your emotions, with your heart. Feeling if there's any feeling present right now. And asking yourself if you can name it. Or maybe you're excited, Maybe you're happy, sad. Hopefully you're not stressed out. But again, just being with whatever is there. And if there's anything that wants to be let go of or released, allowing your breath to go there to take it. And then I invite you to check in with your mind, with your thoughts. Have they been wandering? Are there thoughts that are in the future already, or are there thoughts that are in the past? Just allowing your thoughts to be there, coming and going without holding on to them, without following the stories too much. Just taking another deep breath there. And then I invite you to ask yourself if there is any decision that is kind of waiting for you to be made. And it can be anything, it can be a thing, a little thing, maybe something that you want to change in your life. Maybe it's a big thing. For me, it's like the question if I should join a program or not, what I should do. Just kind of feeling into it. Is there anything that kind of a step that you're not sure if you should take it or not, or which direction to go? Which way would be the right way? And I invite you to just bring that into your consciousness for a moment. Whatever it is, whatever comes to mind. And imagine yourself at a crossroads. And maybe there's two ways, maybe there's more ways. Just standing there. We don't have to go anywhere right now. We're just looking, we're just the observer. And as you stand on your crossroad, kind of just feeling into the different directions that are open to you right now. Different things that you could potentially do in your life or not. Just feeling into that. Feeling your body in this moment. Feeling if there's one that maybe calls you. Maybe one that looks very nice. Maybe one that brings up emotions, memories, or thoughts, stories. Just holding this image in your mind for a moment. The different pathways, the different timelines that you can choose for yourself, for your life right now. Whatever they stand for. Big or small decisions. There's no right or wrong. And with that, I invite you to take a few more deep breaths. Coming back into your body, feeling your feet on the ground. Feeling where your body meets the chair under you. And then I invite you to bring your hands together in front of your chest and start rubbing your hands. Bringing warmth, energy flow, blood flow into your hands. And whenever they feel nice and warm, place them over your eyes for a moment. And just feel any vibration, any warmth, any sensation. And I invite you to imagine a connection between your hands and your eyes, your third eye, your inner vision, so that you will see exactly what you need to see. You will create exactly what is going to help you today. Just taking a deep breath there. Oh. And then you can very gently start waking yourself back up. Maybe you want to rub your face or your head, allowing your hands to go wherever they feel good in this moment. Maybe massage the neck for a moment, whatever feels good. And then whenever you're ready, slowly, slowly open your eyes. And now we're going to go back to the crossroads and bring them into our drawing and go from there. So, as I said, all we need is any piece of paper. I use very simple copy paper, and I like to use Sharpies when I demonstrate. You can use other pens as well, drawing pens, writing pens, whatever you have. Okay, so the idea I had with our drawing today was that we could use this idea of timelines to check in with our intuition. For me, Neurographica is really a way to strengthen and almost train my intuition. The more we listen to the little inner voice, the more we pay attention to it, the more we will have access to it. The more we will know in a very easy and immediate way if a thing is good for us or not, if a pathway is right for us or not. So that is the kind of goal, the task for today. So what we're going to do is we'll start on the left side of the paper. There's an idea that Pavel shares where he says that our perception of time is, for most people, going from the left to the right. And that has to do with most of us, we write from the left to the right. No, when I write my name, it's from left to the right. But also the sun moves from the left to the right. And we have it rising in the east and then it moves through the sky. So our perception of time goes kind of from here to here. So we're using this in the drawing. And we're going to place me, on the left edge. This is where I am now, and I'm going to just place myself as a little circle. Doesn't have to be super big. We don't want to take up too much space. We just want to kind of feel into where we are right now. And it can be on top or bottom. I kind of feel like in the middle is a good space for me to start. So you can start wherever feels good for you, but on the left side. Now, as I said, today I wanted to look at this idea of crossroads and different pathways that we can take. I hope that you did find some kind of idea of something that you want to work with. I have a very specific theme for today. So in Neurographica, we often have a theme that we work with. And my theme is a question if I should enroll in a program or not. Right now, where it will take me. And of course, I don't know where it takes me, but I can ask my intuition what it feels like. Know if there's anything that maybe I need to know. Now, I want to share very briefly about the next element that we're working with, just if there's anyone who has not worked with Neurographica before. So I'm just going to quickly move my paper and talk about the neurographic line. Neurographic line, which is, in this case, really the most important and elemental element that we're going to work with. A neurographic line is, in a way, what I like to call a very organic line. It meanders like a river. It never repeats itself. And what makes it really special is that Pavel says, the creator of Neurographica, that this line takes us to where we do not expect it, meaning we are drawing without taking control. we're letting go while we draw. And I experience that oftentimes as I'm almost just watching what my hand does. I'm just watching my hand. This is a thing that we can really work with for a long time. This letting go process. Anyone who's been working with Neurographica, you know what I'm talking about. There's often a little element of the mind is just making the line going somewhere. So the way I solve this for myself is that I try to be very, very aware of what I'm thinking, where I'm going, as I'm watching my hand make a line. And then whenever I feel like I'm controlling the line, I try to let go and go somewhere else. So that really at the end, the line can take me to where I did not expect it to go. This doesn't have to be perfect. We don't have to make it too complicated. So these are examples of neurographic lines. There is a question if you can use a half page. I think a half page might be a little bit small. I would recommend using a full page. Just because we want some space. We want like to have a little pathway to actually explore. Okay, so how are we working with the neurographic line in this drawing now? Is that we start from where we are now, and I'm going to actually start on the edge of this paper just next to my circle, and then go through my circle and then tap into the feeling of I'm taking the class or I'm not taking the class. Or I'm joining the program, I'm not joining the program. As I said, maybe your crossroads has more than two. Maybe there's 3 different pathways that you could potentially go. Then with every single line, I invite you to really feel into this direction and allow yourself to just watch the line move. So I'm going to go and say, okay, what if I take this class? And as I said, I'm trying to not control. I allow the line to go a way that I didn't anticipate. So before I draw, I don't want to know what it looks like. It's all appearing in the moment. And then I'm going to look at the other option. What happens if I don't do it? And these lines can cross, which might say that at some point they might take me to a similar place. Well, I could interpret that like this. You can interpret your drawing any way you want. What I'm going to do now is go over each of them a few more times to just feel it. So I will follow the line that's already there, and I will allow it to have tiny little changes. So now I want to, in a way, follow the pathway, but still allow the line to have little variations. And focus on feeling it. Focus on what does that feel if I move this path, if I go along this pathway. Does it feel comfortable in my body? Are there any emotions connected with it? Are there any thoughts, any interpretations, any stories that come up with it? How do I like the flow of it? So now I follow the pathway that's already there, but as I said, we allow little variations. So we're not trying to go over it exactly. I'm going to go one more time. Okay. And then, of course, I want to also explore The other option, my second line, the one that's saying I don't join this program. How does that feel? What kind of flow does it have? How does my body feel? And for me, this one is less comfortable. I can definitely already say that. Has this little part where it feels like I'm going backwards. In between, it's always good to take a deep breath. And I go one more time just to really feel it. And feel how they're connected. Now, the next thing I want to invite us to do is look at the pathways and see if there are interesting, for you, interesting parts. I have, for example, here this kind of part where it moves up, and this is like, it felt really nice when I went over it, and it looks really interesting. So this for me is like an area where I feel something is happening. And of course, I can't exactly know what, because I don't know how far this is in the future, but I know like if I decide to go this way at some point in the future, I'm going to be here and there's going to be something happening. So I listen to my intuition, and this is really where it's the big exercise of listening to the intuition. And I feel into it and I say, okay, here there's something, and I will draw a circle around it, or a circle on it or in it. Sometimes the line already makes like a half a circle, for example, then you can just finish it. You can draw a big or small, an element that kind of represents this area for you. For anyone who's advanced in Neurographica, we can potentially also use other shapes, but I'm going to stick with circles for today. Then I have this area here where my lines cross, which is definitely, I know that there's something happening there. So I'm also going to draw a circle here. And while I draw the circle, feeling in again, connecting to myself. Seeing what this element does inside of me. What's happening inside of me when I'm here. Then I'll just follow my line, and anywhere where I feel there's like something going on, it's interesting, feels like there's something for me, I draw a circle there. And it doesn't matter how many, it doesn't matter how big or small they are. Just trust whatever comes up for you. Your picture will look completely different than mine, and that's perfect. Here, there's something. Ooh, okay. And here's something. And as I said, as many as feels good right now. There's more. Okay, this might be good. So whenever we place circles on a so-called timeline, we can think about an event that might be happening there. Something might be happening there. And in our case, It is, of course, something that, again, we can ask our intuition. Maybe inside of us, we already know something. No, maybe I know that if I go this path, then there's certain things that are happening that feel a certain way. Maybe there's a lot of work for me. Maybe it's really hard. That's kind of like how I feel with that. So I invite you now to explore these a little bit more by rounding, by conjoining. And I'm going to very briefly explain that again on my other picture here with the Neurographic line, just for anyone who has not worked with Neurographica. I'm going to just make this a little bit more like the other one. So here I imagine 3 little crazy pathways, and then I imagine I'd have a circle here. So what we mean by conjoining is we work with where lines cross, where my circle crosses a line, and we have this kind of X. So what we want to do is transform this X, this kind of harsh crossing, into a smooth connection point. So instead of having hard triangular shapes, I have kind of smoothed out corners. I want everything to be soft, to be connected. This is what we call the neurographic pattern. And in the cases where we went over lines several times, just want to say it doesn't have to be perfect. What is important is that you feel like it is connected. So sometimes there's little spaces in between the lines, we can just leave them. Not everything has to be perfectly rounded or smoothed out, but we want to have a sensation of flow, a sensation of connection, a sensation of integrating the circle into the pattern of the line. So I'm going to go and just spend a few minutes doing that in my drawing. And as I said, we can ask ourselves what might be there, what might be waiting there in the future for me. And whenever I do that, I don't think about it really hard and try to come up with an answer, but I just put the question into my subconscious space, just ask it, and then I see if there's maybe an answer, maybe there's a hunch, maybe there's a feeling, and maybe that's all I need to know right now. So it's not about finding specific answers, but more about kind of checking in with how it feels. Neurographica is a very emotional, in a way, method. So here we really work with parts of our subconscious that may work beyond words. So the answer that you might receive may not look like an answer. It might look more like a feeling, might even be a body sensation. So while you are drawing, I invite you to stay very conscious with yourself, stay in your body, check in with your emotions. And just see whatever comes up. Just allowing this openness. And trust that whatever you need to see today will appear somehow in the drawing. It may help you take the next step into one of these directions.
Reminding everyone to breathe. We're just going to give that another few minutes. Checking in with every single little circle and seeing what it feels like. What kind of energy is connected to it. And maybe there are very specific ideas about some of these circles. Somewhere where you want to go with these decisions. Maybe you can feel that on one path it will take you there. And just feeling which one feels good. Maybe both feel good. Just kind of feeling into if there is any difference. There's a question if we always draw in the same direction. No, we don't always draw in the same direction. In this case, we draw from left to right because we want to go from where we are now into the future. We can also move into the past. This is something that we're definitely going to do in the course and work with looking at the past in a new way. And there's, of course, all the other directions. In general, in Neurographica, we can work in all directions. And maybe as we think and speak about that already, now I want to invite you to really move a little bit towards where you feel drawn to most. Maybe there's a circle somewhere that catches your attention. Maybe there's one that felt really, really good where you feel like I absolutely want to go there. I have this here. I really want to go here, but I don't really want to go here. So what I want to do now is connect this element to the rest of the picture. Connect this to the outer world. This is one of the steps of the Neurographica algorithm that helps us kind of move out of the space where it's just about me and move into a space where I connect with my environment. So I'm going to do that with this specific circle here. And I'm going to just create some lines that are going towards the edge of the paper. Imagining that I am connecting this element to the outside world. Maybe it is related to other people, or maybe it is just my way of stepping out into the world. Maybe it's going to support me there. I can also ask myself questions of how I can relate to that. And then every time I draw a little line, I will round a little bit more, making sure that it's connected. So here, in this case, we can choose which elements we want to kind of keep inside ourselves, like this option here. I want to keep those inside me. But these here, these up there, I feel I really want to connect to the outside world. I want to feel what it's going to be like if I am connected here. So again, it's all about our awareness while we draw. And hopefully that feels good. So here we can, in a way, already find which elements and which pathway we want to connect with more. I can also connect my now circle, where I am now. Can definitely connect that one. I can connect to the top and to the bottom, of course. And again, I do that with neurographic lines, meaning every line is different. Every line finds its own pathway. And they are all connected to my elements. So as I said, I go about the picture now and just see which ones of the elements that I added want to be more connected. And how does that feel? Again, breathing, especially if there's tension, taking deep breath and exhaling fully. And so we create a larger web in this drawing. But we are not just on our own path, but we are also part of a larger whole, part of a community, family, probably in some way. We are connected. We just move the lines out to visualize this connection. And well, just for the heck of it, I'm going to go and connect this one because it needs to be stabilized somehow. So again, just trusting your intuition. You can go with any element and taking little breaks in between, just feeling into it until you feel complete, until you feel connected in whichever way necessary. Okay. You can take another moment with that, of course, if you need to. I'm going to next move into a little bit of color. And here, one more time, I can feel into those two different timelines that I created and ask myself first, what kind of color do I feel there? I like to work with colored pencils. Here's my crazy color box. Very unorganized, but I like it this way. And I just kind of check in with myself, feel into the space of the drawing, and ask myself, what color does my timeline have? And then I go with the color that I just look at the most, you know, the color that kind of calls me. As I said, in a very intuitive way. So I invite you to choose a color for yourself. And then the first thing I do is I just go into this timeline, into where it is now, and I move into the direction. Now I have, of course, a lot of space between the lines here where I went over it several times. You can also already go into the space next to the line. So we want to kind of follow the line with this particular color that we feel there. And we can just explore where it wants to go. You can follow the entire line, but maybe the color wants to go somewhere different. With coloring is really where we allow our intuition to roam free, to guide us from a place of not the mind, of not understanding, maybe not being able to put it into words. But I always feel in this kind of space of inner knowing with it. And I just allow this color to move me wherever it needs to move me. And then when I feel complete with it, I let it go. So I don't have to color the entire line. I just start there. And then I kind of feel for me, it just goes out here. And I think then the color might change. So in the process, in this of experiencing of the timeline, your color can absolutely change. So I just went until here with my purple, and now I'm gonna just take the next color that calls me and say, okay, here is where it continues. And I do this without a plan, just being guided by the energy of the color. And seeing where it wants to go. We don't have to color everything. So it's absolutely fine to have white areas. With the color again, we want to have the sensation of being guided in a way, of not controlling it, of just following wherever the pen wants to take us. Training our intuition even more, practicing this listening, practicing letting go of expectations, practicing letting go of perfection. I really invite you to experience the color as a journey as well. A journey through your picture. This area there. And we're just going to give that a few minutes, maybe 5-10 minutes. Yeah, I think like that sounds pretty good. And again, exploring the different elements, the different circles, the pathways. And once I have started exploring parts, starting with the line, I can also let go of that and just allow myself to go wherever I want to go. I don't have to focus so much on the pathway anymore, and I can just feel into the space and explore that and see how my color intuitively relates to the timeline, to the different objects on it. So really allowing a free flow. And again, reminding everyone to breathe, staying connected to yourself, to your inner process, paying attention to any sensations in your body, any emotions, any thoughts, any stories. Whatever comes up for you is there to be seen and heard. And of course, you can stay with this process for as long as feels good. So I'm just going to go a few more minutes. But as I said, you don't have to color everything. It's actually really nice if you see some areas stick out, some areas being less intensive with less color. That can bring little insights. Now, what I want to invite us to do next is, in a way, if it feels good, if you feel ready for it, choose one of your timelines. And this choice, of course, doesn't have to be the forever choice. We're just experimenting with and exploring what it would feel like if we make this choice. This is one of the beautiful things of Neurographica. We can practice making choices without terrible consequences in case it's the wrong choice. um, so, okay, which one am I going to choose? I'm going to choose the one that I felt drawn to more. And what I'm going to do is go with my pen over the line a few more times to make it stick out more than the other one. I do have color in my line now, so what I can do is kind of go next to the line, for example, and just create a thicker outline. And of course, I'm going to feel into it again and kind of see, okay, now that I'm making this choice and saying, this is it, how does it feel? Now, what I can do, and this is something that I really like to do, is go back and forth. So we were moving into the future. Now I'm kind of connecting all that is happening here to my now moment. So I'm going into the future and back to the now, into the future, back into the now, and go over the same again and again. And feeling into this choice and seeing, okay, do I really want to make this choice like that? Does it feel grounded? Does it feel good? Does it feel however I want to feel? And I literally go like a few times. I think I went like 3 times back and forth just to anchor that in my consciousness, in my subconscious, that potentially this is going to be my choice. Now, what I like to do is slow down and go little by little along the line, making sure that any little points that are sticking out around it are conjoined, are connected, and I kind of smooth out the line. So in this case here, I may color in some parts. I may make it stick out more. So the goal is that when I look back at this picture, I see the pathway. I see it and I feel it and I remember it. So I want it to be stronger than the other one. I want this one to be just have more intensity in a way. And I do this by coloring it in a little bit. Of course, I'm going to go over some of my coloring, but that's totally fine. This is where we just tap into Neurographica being a process that's open-ended, that can change until the last moment. And then I like to spend some time just being with my drawing. Brenda asks, what happens when we get halfway down the line and decide it's the wrong one? Then your beautiful inside for this picture is that it's the wrong one. You can, of course, work with the other one then and try to make it stand out more. But yeah, that's an interesting one. And that's exactly the kind of thing that we can trigger with this Neurographica drawing. For me, it's not so much about having the picture show me perfectly what I need to, like have the end result be the right line, but it's more important that you recognize in the process that, oh, that doesn't feel right. So I would absolutely call this a success. Because now you may be able to explore the other way. And yeah, in a way, don't worry about if the picture is perfect and right at the end. It's really more about exactly this realization. I, for example, have this sensation where my line feels really good until this one moment where both of them met. And then actually I felt like I wanted to go up here instead of down here. I did now follow the path as it was, but now that you brought me to it, I'm just going to experiment with what would happen if at some point in the future I change and I actually move into the other timeline. So here I have my two timelines meet, and I can decide, okay, maybe at this point I'm good with this program. I've had enough, or I got to go somewhere else. And what would that feel then? So I can absolutely change my mind in the process. And I'm going to create a timeline now that is actually splitting. So yeah, if you feel the other one is going to be better, explore the other one. And all that counts is your inner realization, your inner process, your inside. And of course, when you look at the picture, you will know. And that's all that counts. What other people see in your picture doesn't really matter. It's all about this very personal experience of it. So now I feel like I want to go over the line one more time with like my kind of new pathway to see how that feels. And then move up there. Ooh, it's definitely quite a twist. But I know that this is in the future somewhere, so I'm okay. Right now, I think I know which way to go. And then once I'm here, I may draw another drawing and see which way to go. Hmm. So this makes it easy. Okay, and maybe I find an easier way to move between the lines, like I just did here. Beautiful. Okay, so for today, this will actually be the picture. Usually, we find an element that we emphasize in a picture, but in these pictures, we don't necessarily have to do that. If you feel that there is one element sticking out for you that wants to be emphasized, for me it might be this circle here where both of my lines meet, because I feel like there's a lot of energy there. But you can also just allow the line to be the emphasis in this picture, because this picture, of course, is all about the pathway. It's not so much about the single things that happen on the way, but it's more about the idea of, okay, I'm going this way. And then in the future, I will encounter all these things. I'm still going to probably emphasize this circle a little bit, meaning I make the outline of it a little bit stronger, just because for me there is a realization here that at some point in the future there will be another choice to be made. I'm going to have to make another choice concerning this topic that I'm drawing, which is interesting. And so I'm just going to be with that and see how that feels. And make it to where when I look at this drawing in the future sometime, I will be reminded of it. I will look at it and I will know, oh, and I can ask myself, oh, am I at the crossroads yet? Am I at this point yet where I have to make this decision? Oh, there's another comment. Oh, it's a long comment. Okay, thank you, Anna. Anna says, my situation is one where I don't have control over choices. We are 80 and my husband is suddenly unemployed, and we are working with our financial planner. Ooh, this is like maybe a little bit too complicated for a drawing like that, to be perfectly honest. I use this exercise to look at how I am really dealing with him not bringing in steady money. What the color looks like is that purple spiritual in all through each scenario. Green represents abundance, and again, this throughout. I think I'm good. I love that. Well, that is such a beautiful insight. Thank you for sharing that. It's very nice. I like it. So, yeah, I mean, the drawing can also just show you that you're okay. You don't really need to do anything. Hmm. Hmm. Another question from Brenda. Do you ever add additional circles as you color down the line? Yes. You can add elements at any point in the drawing. If you color and you feel like that feels like there needs to be something. No, I trust my intuition with that 100%. If this inner little voice inside me says there is another circle somewhere, then I will listen. This is one of the things that I find very important to learn in Neurographica, to really listen to these inner little hunches and just feelings that we have. So yes, absolutely. Add circles whenever you feel like it. Add more lines whenever you feel like it. Okay, so this was yeah, just a little intuitive exercise of how we can work with the NeuroTimeline. Of course, the course will be much more specific and much more conscious. We are actually making plans. We're looking into the past and into the future. We are condensing time. We're stretching time. We will work with time in many, many different ways. But I hope that this little exercise actually gave you a kind of feeling maybe for it, an insight into it, an insight into what might be possible. Um, that was my intention. I want to share, oh yeah, one more thing about the course. Um, what we also will work with that I find incredibly useful and helpful is circular timing. Now, as I said, time is not as linear as we are often made to believe. There are cycles and circles, and so some of the drawings that we're going to do in the course, they are working with the circular time, which is something that I feel is very important to explore for all of us to kind of get back into the rhythm of nature that is a circular, cyclical way. So that, yeah, as a little just insight into what the NeuroTimeline course is all about. Um, Anything else that I want to share? Any questions, maybe?
let's maybe go about it like that. Are there any questions um, about this specific program or just about the drawing itself or anything you want to share already? Other than that, I'm just going to say I'm looking forward to creating this final algorithm. And then I'm going to take some time off. And yeah, come back with other things in the future. But I'm probably going to repeat the algorithm series at some point. There is one more that I haven't taught yet that we might get to in the future. Brenda asked, do you have the basic steps of the different algorithms written down anywhere? Um, well, they come in the algorithm courses. In the first algorithm, the basic user course, you will learn the 8 steps of the basic algorithm, which we apply in every single drawing. So today, of course, we went through all the steps. The order of steps sometimes varies. So yeah, in the basic user course, I do, of course, share those basic steps also in writing, but more so in drawing, in exercises. And then in the next algorithms, we explore them in different ways. But yeah, I hope that was an answer to the question. And like every algorithm is a little bit different. That's like the thing with all the different algorithms. We first learn the general procedure of these 8 steps, and then we create different compositions in different ways with different intentions and use these steps in more or less a loose way. So the more you get into it, the more you learn about it, the more you will see the variety that's really there. And the more you will be able to create your own, for example. So when I create drawings for myself or, for example, with clients, I go about it in a very intuitive way. And I say, okay, does it feel like we want to add an element? Let's add the element. So it doesn't have to be necessarily step 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. It can be step 1 and then 3 and then 4 and then 2 and then 5. So it's it's a strong kind of container, a strong place to hold our creativity by knowing that we have all these different steps available, but it also allows for a lot of flow. And the more we go, the deeper we go into learning about it, the more you will find your own flow, the more you will find your own way of working with that. Oh, nice. Vicky says her loved ones came through while drawing. Beautiful. And happy Easter to all. Beautiful. You use 3 colors. Is that typical for this? I used 7 colors. um, you can use as many or as little colors as you feel like. You can even work monochrome. There are many different ways with the colors. So yeah, there is no typical. Basically, you will find your own typical. You will find what's true for you and how you want to work with it. And I absolutely recommend that. Just experiment with whatever's fun for you, especially with the colors. A good Easter weekend to everyone. There's one more question. Should I join and revisit the motion of a Tai Chi class? I just added the yin yang sign in the future, so I already have my answer. Beautiful. See, this is the magic of Neurographica. We can receive our answer in different ways. I love that. Thank you for sharing that. Beautiful. Nice. Yeah, you're welcome. I'm very happy to answer all the questions. Ah, very, very glad that you all enjoyed this. Oh, I know it's late. No worries. I will, of course, have a recording that I'm going to upload after the class and send out to everyone. Okay, then I'm gonna say thank you to everyone who's watching this recording. I would love to see your drawings as always. I have a Facebook group and you can share your drawings in there. That would be wonderful. And maybe, yeah, we'll make a long timeline of everyone. That would be interesting. Um, yeah, and I'm gonna be back with more stuff in the future. Beautiful. And thank you